For decades, the US dollar has stood unchallenged as the world's dominant currency, the bedrock of international trade and finance. But now, cracks are appearing in that foundation. As trust in the dollar weakens, countries across the world are searching for alternatives, and none have been more vocal about this than the BRICS alliance. While Americans cast their votes, BRICS is currently holding its annual summit in Russia in October 2024. But this is no ordinary meeting. This year, the alliance is expected to lay the groundwork for a new global financial system, potentially leading to the creation of a gold-backed currency that could rival the dollar. The timing is symbolic, as nations like China and Saudi Arabia, once reliable partners of the US, are increasingly pivoting away from the dollar. For decades, the US dollar has been the world's undisputed reserve currency, a symbol of economic power and stability. But today, that dominance is under serious threat. The cracks in the dollar's stronghold are not just the result of economic mismanagement or bad policy decisions. It's a deeper, more structural issue tied to the United States' massive national debt and its over-reliance on printing money. With each passing year, the US government's strategy of increasing debt and expanding the Federal Reserve's balance sheet is weakening international confidence in the dollar. This shift is not just an academic concern. Leading economists such as former White House advisor Art Laffer have raised the alarm, calling the dollar an unhinged paper currency. The US has used its currency as a political weapon, imposing sanctions and trade restrictions that have made other countries wary of relying on the dollar. Nations that once saw the greenback as a symbol of trust now view it with suspicion. The real issue, however, is not just political, it's economic. As the world's most indebted country, the US is left with a shrinking number of options. To service its debts, it prints more money, which further devalues the dollar. This vicious cycle is driving inflation, increasing interest rates, and making life more difficult for everyday Americans. While the US media is focused on the upcoming 2024 election, the global financial stage is shifting in ways that no election can fix. As the dollar's value weakens, countries across the world are exploring alternatives, setting the stage for a potentially seismic shift in the international economic order. The US dollar's era of dominance may be coming to an end. While the US dollar has been the bedrock of global finance for decades, a new force is quietly gaining strength. This is BRICS. This alliance of emerging economies is leading a bold push to reduce dependence on the dollar and reshape the global financial system. With its influence growing and more countries lining up to join, BRICS has set its sights on an ambitious goal: de-dollarization. The BRICS alliance has always stood for more equitable global financial power, but recent geopolitical shifts and the rise of economic nationalism have accelerated its plans. The bloc has recognized that the current system, where the US dollar reigns supreme, gives disproportionate control to the US, particularly through its ability to impose sanctions and regulate international trade. As the dollar continues to be used as a tool of US foreign policy, countries are becoming increasingly wary of their reliance on it. In August 2023, the BRICS summit delivered a clear signal. De-dollarization is no longer just an idea, it's becoming a strategic roadmap. At the summit, BRICS leaders introduced plans for a multi-currency payment system aimed at reducing the bloc's reliance on the dollar in cross-border transactions. By creating an independent, multi-currency framework, BRICS aims to protect itself from the volatility and political weaponization of the dollar. Perhaps most significantly, BRICS is also exploring the introduction of a gold-backed currency. For years, speculation has swirled around the possibility of a BRICS currency that is not only immune to US financial policies, but also supported by real, tangible assets like gold. While such a currency may still be years away, the 2023 summit unveiled a concrete roadmap for its development, indicating that BRICS is serious about reworking the global financial system. A gold-backed currency would offer a powerful alternative to the US dollar, providing a stable, secure means of international exchange and reshaping global trade. BRICS' de-dollarization agenda is gaining momentum, not just within its core members but across the developing world. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the UAE officially joined BRICS, further solidifying the alliance's global presence. In fact, 24 additional nations have applied for membership, highlighting the rising demand for an alternative to the dollar. With major oil producers like Saudi Arabia now part of BRICS, the possibility of oil being traded in non-dollar currencies could shake the very foundations of the petrodollar system, which has underpinned U.S. economic dominance for decades. This expansion of BRICS is not merely symbolic, it's strategic. By adding new economic heavyweights to its roster, BRICS is positioning itself as a powerful counterweight to Western financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The aim is clear: create a financial ecosystem that is more inclusive, more balanced, and less reliant on any one nation's currency. The ripple effects of BRICS de-dollarization efforts are already being felt globally, with China leading the way in promoting the use of its yuan in international trade, and Russia increasingly conducting its energy transactions outside the dollar. The momentum is building. As more countries turn away from the dollar in favor of local currencies or alternatives, the BRICS alliance is laying the groundwork for a future where global trade is no longer dominated by the U.S. currency. In the coming years, as BRICS continues to expand and implement its de-dollarization roadmap, the global financial system could undergo a seismic shift. The era of dollar hegemony may be approaching its end, and BRICS is positioning itself as the architect of the new financial order. China's shift away from the US dollar is one of the most significant developments in the global economic landscape. As the world's second-largest economy, China's growing reluctance to rely on the dollar for international trade is not just a response to US sanctions or trade wars, it's part of a larger, long-term strategy to reshape global finance. Over the past decade, China has steadily reduced its use of the dollar, increasingly favoring its own currency, the yuan, in international transactions. This pivot became particularly evident after the U.S. imposed tariffs and trade restrictions on China during the Trump administration. In response, China rapidly accelerated its efforts to diversify away from the dollar, reducing the share of U.S. currency in its trade. In 2010, around 83% of China's cross-border payments were made in dollars. Today, that figure has dropped to just over 47%, with more than half of China's international trade now conducted in yuan. China's strategy is multifaceted. The country has been promoting the yuan as a viable alternative for international trade, particularly with its partners in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Additionally, China has entered into currency swap agreements with various nations, including Russia and Saudi Arabia, allowing them to trade in local currencies instead of relying on the dollar. China is also leveraging technology to achieve its de-dollarization goals. Its digital yuan, the first state-backed digital currency, is being rolled out across the globe, offering a glimpse into the future of global finance. Through this, China is not only reducing its dependency on the US dollar, but positioning itself to lead the world into a new era of digital finance. Technology is revolutionizing the global financial system, and its impact on currencies is profound. In the past, currency revolutions were slow-moving, driven by shifts in political or economic power. But today, digital advancements are accelerating the pace of change, offering new alternatives to traditional money, particularly the US dollar. The rise of digital currencies, blockchain, and fintech innovations has created an entirely new ecosystem of payment systems, threatening the dollar's dominance. At the forefront of this transformation is the development of central bank digital currencies. Countries like China are leading the way with the digital yuan, which allows for seamless, secure cross-border transactions without the need for intermediary banks or reliance on the dollar. Other countries are exploring similar innovations, with many viewing CBDCs as a way to reduce their dependence on US-dominated financial systems. These digital currencies could fundamentally alter the way global trade operates, allowing for faster, more efficient, and less costly transactions. Moreover, blockchain technology, which powers cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, has introduced the concept of decentralized finance. This system removes traditional gatekeepers such as central banks and enables peer-to-peer transactions globally, again bypassing the US dollar. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain-based financial products are gaining popularity, not just with individual investors, but also with corporations and even some governments. Stablecoins, digital currencies pegged to tangible assets like gold or other currencies, also offer a bridge between traditional and new financial systems. These innovations provide countries with options to move away from dollar reliance while maintaining economic stability. One of the most significant shifts in the global financial system is Saudi Arabia's growing interest in the Chinese yuan, particularly through the lens of oil trade. For decades, Saudi Arabia has been a cornerstone of the petrodollar system, which has long upheld the US dollar's dominance in global oil markets. Since the 1970s, oil has been priced and traded almost exclusively in US dollars, cementing the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. However, this paradigm is being increasingly challenged. In recent years, Saudi Arabia has been exploring deeper ties with China, the world's largest importer of oil. As China seeks to diversify its global trade and reduce its reliance on the US dollar, a significant part of that strategy involves using its own currency, the yuan, in international transactions. The result has been a growing trend of oil transactions conducted in yuan, and Saudi Arabia, as a major oil exporter, is a key part of this transition. Saudi Arabia's shift toward the yuan is not merely an economic decision. It reflects broader geopolitical and strategic changes. As tensions between the US and China have escalated in recent years, Riyadh has begun to see China not just as a customer, but as a critical partner in its efforts to diversify its economy. China's Belt and Road Initiative, along with its advancements in technology, energy, and infrastructure, make it an attractive ally for Saudi Arabia as the kingdom looks to reduce its dependency on oil and modernize its economy under the Vision 2030 plan. In 2022, Saudi Arabia signed a 3-year currency swap agreement with China worth $50 billion, marking a significant step toward non-dollar oil trade. This agreement allowed for increased yuan-based transactions and set the stage for more deals that bypassed the dollar altogether. In early 2023, reports emerged that Saudi Arabia is now considering pricing some of its oil sales to China in yuan, a monumental shift that could destabilize the petrodollar system. The petro-yuan concept poses a direct challenge to the US dollar's role in global oil markets. If Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, begins regularly selling oil in yuan, it would encourage other oil-exporting nations to follow suit. Such a move would weaken the dollar's hegemony, potentially leading to a broader de-dollarization of global oil markets and shaking the foundations of the global financial system as we know it. The shifting dynamics in global finance, driven by the rise of BRICS, China's pivot away from the dollar, and the emergence of alternative currencies like the petro-yuan, are sending ripples across the world. The long-standing dominance of the US dollar as the world's primary reserve currency is being challenged, with significant implications for global trade, financial markets, and geopolitical power. As more countries seek alternatives to the dollar, the global financial system could become more fragmented. The US dollar's supremacy has long provided the United States with considerable economic and geopolitical leverage. Dollar-based transactions in global trade give the US influence over international financial systems, including the ability to impose sanctions and control global liquidity. As countries like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia explore non-dollar trade, the US risks losing this key advantage. The rise of multi-currency trade, digital currencies, and even gold-backed alternatives could accelerate the move toward a multipolar financial system. If countries begin holding fewer US dollars in their reserves and relying more on other currencies, the dollar's value could weaken over time, leading to higher inflation, increased borrowing costs, and more volatility in financial markets. Domestically, the erosion of the dollar's global role could exacerbate existing economic challenges. In the US, high levels of debt and inflation could be worsened if demand for the dollar falls. As foreign governments and investors reduce their dollar holdings, the US government may struggle to finance its deficits, forcing a shift in economic policy. While the dollar will likely remain a dominant currency in the near future, its absolute supremacy is no longer guaranteed. The world is entering an era of diversified financial power, where the US must adapt to a rapidly evolving global economy or risk losing its financial hegemony. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this video insightful, Be sure to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos on the most important financial and geopolitical trends shaping our world today.